So we just had a quick chat before. Have to come do quite a fair bit of work. There's obviously a big gaping hole in our infrastructure at the moment. The last 2 concrete beams are just sitting over here waiting to be installed. I'll let Esmat talk to you about the very cool machinery that we're going to use to be able to lift that into place and roughly how long it takes. But basically, this is the really big component of the project. This is everything that we need to do right now to get trains up into the elevated platform and to be running on the new track. Okay, so when we close the road, we'll be lowering Exford Road. We're going to lower it by about 1.5 metres. Right now, as you can tell, pretty close, isn't it? Yeah, we've got to create that clearance for trucks to be able to travel underneath. Okay, so that's roughly about a 4.8 metre clearance that trucks will be able to travel underneath. For those oversized, overmass vehicles, they can use Coburn's Road down there. I think it's around 6 metres tall over there, so it's a little bit. Yeah, no, we haven't got a Montague Street situation here, officer. Okay, so the concrete beams, they come in from Kilmore. They're around 32 metres in length. Okay, then they actually come together That's how they come together. There's a concrete segment in the middle. We stitch those concrete beams together, and that's what they call a U-trough. Okay, so this particular U-trough is a really cool piece of engineering, but we're obviously using it on a lot of our elevated rail structures. Okay, mainly because it's a great noise suppressant comparable to the trucks that are up there on the earth embankment as an example. We can't use the U-troughs in all situations. Esmat will talk about why we have to have earth embankments, right, so that we can support the different platform arrangements, but I'll let him talk to that. In terms of, I guess, the little things that you wouldn't notice or wouldn't know why they were there. See those bolts that are sticking out? They're there for melton line electrification. That's to support overhead gantries going in, should we ever get the electrified trains onto the melton line. And yeah, absolutely. And would you? Very, very funny, Jay. But as you already know, government's invested around 152 million for investigations into melton line electrification. Okay, so that's obviously part of the planning. Those investigations, things like flora and fauna, ecology, etc. In terms of being able to, get those electrified trains onto the line, there's a whole heap of work that has to happen. Look at the West Footscray to Albion Melbourne Airport rail section of works that the government's invested their money into. That's all about untangling the network through that Western Corridor, that really complicated rail corridor where you've got freight tracks, regional tracks, metro tracks, and future Melbourne Airport rail tracks. So it's a really, really complicated area that we're going to look to, I guess, untangle, new tunnels through there, new rail flyovers to try and untangle that network. I'm going to hand over to Esmat, who will talk to you about how we're going to put these final beams into place.
Yeah, so as so they come in L shapes, and then you have to make them into a U. Traditionally, what we used to do, we used to put the L's, install them in here, and then come back later on and then glue them together as they are on the crosshead, so as they're on top. But with these ones, as you can see, we've actually brought them already on site. We've put them together. We have stitched them. We've installed the screens on them as well, and we're going to lift them in place in August. And what we're going to do is, rather than using a crane, which is traditionally what we do, set up the cranes and then lift them up, put them in place, we're going to use something else called SPMT. So it's a self-propelled modular transporter. So essentially, I don't know if you've seen some of the TV shows where they transport those big, huge wind farms or wind turbines on the road. They're a big truck with lots of tiny wheels. So essentially, that's what we're going to use them. They're going to be remote controlled. So essentially, we're going to level all of this surface, bring that underneath the U-trough, lift it all up, and then just carry the whole thing in one piece, and then just drop it onto the crossheads and then connect them up. So the whole purpose of that is cranes, they usually take a bit longer to set it up, lift them in place. It's a bit more disruptive, but with SPMT, it's less disruptive, it's quicker, so we can get it all done really quickly and get on with the work of lowering the Exford Road. So yeah, that will be a very, very cool thing to see. So if you've got the time in August, yeah, that will be, and I'm sure we'll release some pictures and videos of that SPMT lift on the website. So yeah, keep an eye out on it. So what was that? Oh, not a formal viewing area, but I suppose nobody's going to stop you if you come on the side of the road and have a look. Yeah, and that's going to happen sort of the start of the occupation, probably 11th, 12th or 13th of August. Yeah, so next week we're going to start setting up the SPNT, so there will be a bit more activity happening in here, just getting ready for the 11th of August. So yeah, any yeah, so from the 11th of August to 31st of August. So yeah.
Did anyone have any additional questions before we head around the side? Then I'm going to turn the tables and ask you a few questions, a few trivia questions.
As far as the